Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. All right, with me, let's breathe in the beautiful warmth of this winter day. And breathe out all the roast beef and stuffing and mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes and that we consumed yesterday. And one more time, let's just breathe in unity and breathe out any sense of worry or discontent. I'd like to welcome you all to Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Jeffrey McNutt. I'm community manager here, and I would just like to welcome everyone. And I see some faces I haven't seen in a while and some new faces, and we are just so glad that you've chosen to spend your time with us this morning, and we are better because of your presence. As everybody seems to know, we are requiring that you wear masks. We're really trying to keep everybody safe in this latest version of this pandemic. And so, just keep in mind everyone else's well-being and safety while you're here. Their bathrooms are, women's room is in that corner and men's room is over in that corner. If you need anything else while you're here, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or people at the check-in stations or Dino that you'll meet in a second. We can help you with that, whatever you may need. I was struck this morning by the death of Bishop Desmond Tutu. And so he is on my mind this morning. And I think it was maybe a month or two ago, as part of a series we were doing, Amani taught us about the concept of Ubuntu, and I wanted to just bring that concept in because it's really fitting with how we're going to celebrate today. And Desmond Tutu wrote, Ubuntu speaks of the very essence of being human. We say, hey, so-and-so has Ubuntu. Then you are generous, you are hospitable, you are friendly and caring and compassionate. You share what you have. It is to say, my humanity is caught up in yours. We belong in a bundle of life. We say, a person is a person through other persons. I'm also blessed. My mother is visiting for Christmas from Massachusetts. So if you have any complaints or comments, please, about my performance, please direct them to Elaine. One thing she pointed out to me, and I wasn't quite on top of this year, is we are kind of running a little behind in our Advent celebration. So actually, we're 1 week behind, but to me, it's okay, as we'll catch up today. And I'd like to bring Dino up, and we're going to light our 4 Advent candles and culminate this kind of practice of just bringing in awareness around these 4 candles and their concepts. And so he's lighting a candle of joy to celebrate the joy of the season, and a candle of hope, signified in the coming and the anticipation of the birth of Jesus and everything that represents in our commonality. And he's lighting a candle for peace. And I don't think I have to expound much on the need for peace right now in our experience of our collective humanity right now and the way that it's playing out. And then finally, we're going to light the angel's candle, which just brings that all together in my mind. And what the message of the angels, what they brought was peace on earth and goodwill to all men. And also known as the love candle, as my wife is pointing out to me. So, all right. And with that, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Dino, and he's going to anchor us in prayer.
Thank you, Jeff. I love you. My name is Dino, for those of you that do not know me. I am a licensed spiritual practitioner here at the center, and we would like to welcome you this morning. I was taken this morning when I pulled into the parking lot, and there was a little gray kitty trying to get over the wall, and they've extended the wall, so I went over to see if he needed me, and I realized in that moment how we are one. If you'll join me in prayer, if you'd be so kind to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, to open our service. These days have been glorious, a gift. The weather has been lovely. Spirit has made itself known, seen, for us to enjoy. These last few days have been an expression of love and kindness in our gathering, our gift from the One. Thank you so much for being here and for loving one another. And so it is. You're so beautiful. At this time, we'd like to invite you to light a candle at our altar, our prayer altar. If you would like to leave a prayer, something that might be heavy on your heart, or a gratitude, something that you'd like to express into the universe. Time is so precious. Our time together here today. We are one community, one family, one home. We are one love. One heart. We are one prayer. We are one candle, one light. We are one another. We have one breath and one life together. The universe welcomes us into its fold. The spirit of life breathes for us, through us. Just when we thought we would run out of oil, the candles stay lit. One kind heart, one love. At this time, we'd like to welcome you up to the microphone if you'd like to join us and share your prayer with us, if you feel comfortable doing so. At this time, we'd like to anchor your prayers with the magic bowl. And so it is.
Good morning. I'm Clarissa, practitioner, and we have a very special treat for you guys today. My personal favorite positive message hip-hop artist, who happens to also be a beloved member of our community, IQ the Professor, otherwise known as Tony Quintana, just released a brand new album, and he is here to perform a couple of songs for us today. So let's give a warm welcome, IQ the Professor.
Thank you so much, Clarissa. Thank you. Morning, everyone. So excited to be here and share with you all. So hopefully I get us warmed up. Feel free to move around. You know, hip-hop is not something that, hip-hop is something you do. It's not something you observe. So feel free to get live in here. So without further ado, song is called Blessings Are Abundant. The other day, I was walking through a stream with my younger child, living the dream. We sat up, I asked him what's the meaning of life without really thinking too much. Quickly replied, he said, it's to do things only we can do and enjoy all the beauty of nature too. He said, we were put here to enjoy the earth. I said, you've been doing that ever since your birth, and I love it. He really makes me proud. Thought I'm supposed to teach him, but it's the other way around. And it's always been like that with both my kids. The wisdom runs deeper than the ocean is. When the world's got me down and feeling hopelessness, they help me with finding clarity and focusing. So I know it's true what my son spoke that day. Living my best life is the only way. I got my mind made up. I'm living my best life. I'm gonna go for it. Right now is the best time. All I gotta do is pray and give it my best try. The blessings are abundant. I'm fixing to get mine. Mind made up. I'm living my best life. I'm gonna go for it. Right now is the best time. All I gotta do is pray and give it my best try. The blessings are abundant. I'm fixing to get mine. I'm so blessed. Even when I'm so stressed, I know I deserve the best and no less. When it feels like the world is falling apart, that's when it's most important to share my heart. None of us can do it all we can do is our part. Share our laughs, love, service, and art. Do things that bring us joy and make us feel uplifted. Then little by little, the energy keeps shifting until we reach a higher plane of existence. It's natural at times to feel some resistance, but that's not real. And the love is more persistent. That's why I guarantee we can manifest our vision. I know complacency can be so tempting, but your comfort zone eventually leaves you empty. The universe is abundant, blessings are plenty, and if God is on my side, then no one could be against me. Mind made made up. I'm living my best life. I'm gonna go for it. Right now is the best time. All I gotta do is pray and give it my best try. The blessings are abundant. I'm fixing to get mine. Mine made up. I'm living my best life. I'm gonna go for it. Right now is the best time. All I gotta do is pray and give it my best try. The blessings are abundant. I'm fixing to get mine. The time is now. I'm living my best life, hitting my best time, spitting my best rhymes, living my wildest dreams, no longer wild they seem, got me reimagining what I can be. I was put here to do things that only I can, so I'm gonna reach for all the glory I can, work on getting rid of habits that no longer serve me, and distancing myself from anything that can hurt me, and recognizing when some things no longer working, and manifest the life I'm truly deserving. I wanna travel the world and see all its beauty, spend time with the family, cause that really fuels me. Create art and share it far and wide, then lie down and look up at the stars at night, and one day look back on a life well lived, knowing that I gave the very best that I could give. I got my mind made up. I'm living my best life. I'm gonna go for it. Right now is the best time. All I gotta do is pray and give it my best try. The blessings are abundant. I'm fixing to get mine. Mind made up. I'm living my best life. I'm gonna go for it. Right now is the best time. All I gotta do is pray and give it my best try. The blessings are abundant. I'm fixing to get mine. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. Oh, how blessed are we right now, right? All the talent and blessings right here in our community. I can't even. Can't even. It's so exciting that I finally got him up here. Oh, living our best life. I love, 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 love that is one of the songs he brought to us today. I'm Reverend Amani Malaika, for those of you who do not know me, and welcome if you are new. I'm so happy to have you with us today. Welcome to our beloveds online. I am so happy to have you with us today as we celebrate Kwanzaa. And as we look at the framework, the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, is a framework. And what I've discovered is that it is a framework for living the core principle of science of mind, the core principle of all faith traditions and teachings across the world, the principle of oneness. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. And as we begin that dive, we're going to hear from our Leadership Council President and his husband, Jay, on Kwanzaa. Thank you. And you can check your screens.
Hello, fellow Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living members, and happy Kwanzaa. I am so happy to share with you what Kwanzaa means to me. It means first fruits, and what that means to me is that it's the fruit of the continent of Africa that can be shared with the rest of the world. And so I invite you to that 7-day celebration.
And hello, Albuquerque Center for a Spiritual Living family. Kwanzaa to me has always meant opportunity. You know, I didn't really understand Kwanzaa for a while, and then the more I began to see how we can share, how we can explore each other and explore our community and what it means to be together in community, I love it. So Kwanzaa is about exploration and newness for me.
Thank you, and happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yes, thank you. So one of the things that it really got me thinking about this framework that Kwanzaa and the 7 principles provide is the frameworks that have been provided to us throughout humanity from all of the great teachings, right? The framework of the 10 Commandments from Judaism that continued on into Christianity. The framework of the Tao Te Ching. The framework of the Vedas and the Sutras that became the Bhagavad Gita, and the frameworks that we continue to develop as they become needed. And all of these frameworks over the history of faith traditions and philosophies have risen in a time when they were needed, based on what was happening circumstantially. So Kwanzaa rose in a time when the African American people in this country had had enough and needed something to rally around, much like when the Vedas stopped working for the Hindu people and they needed the Bhagavad Gita. Much like when the Jewish folks had had enough and they needed some commandments to rally around. And so these frameworks aren't necessarily rules handed down from the white guy in the sky. These frameworks rise from the oneness through our expression as divine beings because we need them. We need something that's like, I kind of know that this oneness thing is true. I kind of know that there's something greater. I don't really know what to call it. I don't really know how to access it. And I don't know how to live it. And so these frameworks rise. And so this framework, the framework of Kwanzaa, is wrapped around 7 principles. And as I was looking at these principles, and I was looking at the alignment that they have with science of mind, the faith tradition we practice here, and with all faith traditions, I was looking at a framework of how we, if we so choose, could look to these principles as a how to practice oneness. The first principle of Kwanzaa, which begins today, and it is the principle that is focused on in the practice of Kwanzaa, is umoja, translated as unity. And in the Kwanzaa practice, it is to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. But what do we know about unity in the science of mind teaching? As the second step of our affirmative prayer or science of mind treatment is we unify ourselves with the principle of oneness. We unify ourselves with the recognition that there is only one holy, blessed one. And if there is only one and there is no separation from the one, then it is within and as and through me and you and you. So this practice of unity that we value in science of mind might look for, striving for, and maintaining unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, says, "The furtherance and evolution depends upon our ability to sense a unity with nature and her forces. When the knowledge of this unity comes alike to all, the tread of armies will cease and the bugle call will echo the soft notes of humanity's love." That sounds like the same unity to me. What about you? And when we bring that unity, that oneness into action, which happens to be the mission of our community, love in action. So when we bring unity into action, how does that look in our families? Kwanzaa asks us. How does that look in our community? How does that look in our nation? And how does it look in the entire human race? This is a framework that Umoja offers us. The next principle in Kwanzaa, self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves. Ernest Holmes says, "The aim of evolution is to produce a person who, at the objective point of their own self-determination, may completely manifest the inner life of the spirit." When we define ourselves and name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, I would call this unification in action. Because when we know what we are as divine emanations of the one, then it is our duty. It is our duty to claim that knowing and define ourselves as a divine emanation of the One. To name ourselves a holy, blessed expression of the One. To create based on this reality. And to speak this truth in every action of our life. And in the context of Kwanzaa, in the context of this self-determination, this was about taking back our power. No longer allowing outer circumstances to define who and what we are and how we are named, what we are called. Reclaiming the truth of who we are from the misunderstandings and misbeliefs of the outer world, of the conditions. That what do we know in science of mind about condition? Might be real, but it sure isn't true. There's a greater reality. There is a more true reality that says there is only one, and that one is present right here and right now through my very breath. Which couldn't possibly mean that I am less than. Which couldn't possibly mean that I am separate from you. So when we take this principle of self-determination into action, we unify ourselves with that oneness, and we live it. We live it as if it is the only reality determining who and what we are. I call that self-determination unification in action. Because if we are determining who we are, how we name ourselves, what we call ourselves, what we allow others to name and call us, if we determine that based on the outer circumstance, if we determine that based on history, if we determine that based on cultural norms, we are out of alignment with truth. We have stepped out of unification. We have stepped out of self-determination. If we are just reacting and resisting, then we are still allowing outer circumstance to determine who we are, what we are named, what we create. But when we claim the one power, the only power, the power of the Holy Blessed One, when we claim that as our nature, as the only possibility of our nature, well then self-determination becomes pretty darn easy, yes? I don't care how long you have been marginalized in society, in whatever society you may have found yourself living in. There is no greater power than the Holy Blessed One's power. There is no more present or omniscient or omnipotence than the Holy Blessed One. So when you take yourself back, all the pieces and parts of your story, of your history, of what has been handed down to you, and you take all that back and align and unify with and determine for yourself what is true, unshakable, unbreakable, unharmable. What do we know about God? What do we know about that Holy Blessed One? Can we break God? No matter all the ridiculousness we do to one another and we do to this planet, can we break God? Anybody? And if there is only God, and you consciously choose to unify yourself with the unbreakable nature of God, are you breakable? So does it behoove you in your self-determination to continue to tell the stories of your brokenness? Does it serve you to continue to practice a spirituality of less than? Thank you, Kwanzaa, for reminding us that we have the right and the responsibility of self-determination. Third principle of Kwanzaa, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. I call this realization. Oneness made manifest through collective work and responsibility means that oneness is not just a cute little quote we're going to hang on our wall. Oneness is not just a value we've got printed on our website. Oneness is an endeavor that requires our labor, that requires our hands and our feet and our bodies. We are in flesh on purpose so that we can actually live and practice these incredibly beautiful and true principles. So Ujima, from the Ernest Holmes papers. If anyone knows anything about the love that is all-embracing, their arms will be around everyone in the world. It is all nonsense to say God is love unless our arms are around the people. It is all nonsense to say God is peace unless there is a peace in our own consciousness that brings calm to everything. It is nonsense to say God is giving unless our hands are open that we may scatter on the four winds of heaven the last atom of good we have ever received. It is all nonsense to say the universe holds us in its loving embrace while we dislike one single soul. This is what Ujima means when you practice science of mind. This labor of oneness means that we don't just pretend that we like one another. We don't define who gets to be within the embrace of love based on our skin color, based on our class, economic status, based on our location. If we say that we believe in the principle of oneness, in the mission of love and action, it is nonsense until you include the whole of the one in that love. And until you do the labor required to wrap your arms around that much humanity. Because humans are hard to love sometimes. The history of what we have done to one another, the current state of what we do to one another, is hard to love sometimes. And yet that is the labor. That is the work of inclusion. One of our favorite buzzwords right now, right? DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. But do you really want to include everybody? Like everybody? For real. And until you can, your labor is not done. And that includes yourself. That includes the recognition, realization, and unification of the self as a beautifully, on purpose, divine emanation of the one. We have to make that real. Our own oneness with the one and our collective oneness with the one. And I don't believe that work will ever be done in my lifetime. So if you think you are done, I'm pretty sure you're mistaken. But that is what collective work and responsibility means. So I'm going to bring it back to Ujima, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. Like, break that down for a minute. We are building and maintaining community together. How many of you like to actually shut up long enough to hear the other person's perspective and make room for the wisdom in it? Right? When you are quite sure you are right and they are wrong. And not only do we have to build community with everybody, we also have to take their problems into our own lives. Because as much as we are lovely, beautifully intended humans, we like separation. We like that little bit of distance we can have from their problem. We like being able to say, well, I prayed for her. I put her in my prayers. But I'm going to leave it over there. I'm not actually going to bring it in the house. Right? What would it look like if we actually collectively took responsibility for the ills in the world, for the ills in our neighborhoods, for the ills in our city? That until everybody's housed, we have not finished our work. Until food insecurity is obliterated, we have not finished our work. The labor continues, and it is our problem. It's not their problem. Each one of us has a role to play, a responsibility to take in the community that we build together. And until we do the work of Ujima, which is not only growing our awareness, it is growing our responsibility and our labor to meet the problems that we share. And then we also have to listen to other people's ideas about how to solve it. We also have to be willing to come to the table with perspectives and differences that may boggle our minds. How do we do that? We determine that we are one of the Holy Blessed One, and so is everybody else. And we make it real. And what I have found, it is in that labor, it is in that community building that it gets real. It is when we get off our couches and our lotus cushions and get out into the labor and the work of building community that we begin to make real this concept of oneness. It is the gift of the labor and the responsibility itself that brings this principle into reality, which is ours to do, right? The third step of affirmative prayer, of spiritual mind treatment, is realization. Realization defined means to make real. It is ours to do to make these principles real. And I believe it's not until we get our hands dirty that they get real. Right? It's not until we step outside our bubbles of what we think we know and are comfortable with that it starts to get real. The fourth principle of Kwanzaa, Ujamaa, cooperative economics. to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. That's a big one, y'all. Have you lived in the U.S. long? We literally have a law. We have a law that says corporations must be profitable. And F all the people who are in the way of that. We got a lot of work there, this whole cooperative economics thing. Ernest Holmes from The Science of Mind says, "My opportunities are unlimited. There is a divine urge to express. It permeates me and fills all space and all people. All of my affairs are in its hands. To it are clearly visible the best ways, methods, and means for my greater expression. I leave my affairs in the hands of this principle, and I cooperate with it." What that says to me in cooperative economics is we must be willing to let go of what we think is economic success. We must be willing to break the law in order to live in harmony with the real law, the law of oneness, the law of unification. And if we are going to make that real, we got to break some other laws. We got to break some other traditions. We have to break some awfully comfortable ways of being, yes? And cooperate with the one truth we call ourselves beholden to as people who live spiritual lives. And I'm going to hand this over for a minute to Dr. Stephanie McIver, one of our community members, who is going to talk a little more about the law of Ujamaa and cooperative economics.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie McIver and a friend of Albuquerque Center for Spiritual Living. My family's been participating in this church community for many, many years. Happy holidays to everyone. I'm here to talk about the fourth principle of Kwanzaa. So in the Nguzo Saba, which are the principles, the fourth principle is Ujamaa. Ujamaa is cooperative economics. And I chose this principle to share with you today because it's been critically important to me in certainly the past year, certainly the past few years, this concept of cooperative economics. And what it means is that we need to recognize that the economic well-being of the least of us reflects the cooperative economics or the economic well-being of all of us. So we need to be highly conscious of where we are putting our resources, how we are spending our resources, to whom we're giving our resources, our financial resources in particular, and whose endeavors we are uplifting. Some of you may have heard that the economic well-being in the Black community is tremendously dire. Across the nation, Black families have a net worth, shockingly, of $5 on average. You heard me right, $5. That is in comparison to the Hispanic community, where the net worth is thousands of times greater, and the white American community, whose average net worth actually approaches $100,000. So knowing this, it has become extra important for me to spend my money in the Black community where it is needed, to make sure that our dollars circulate within our community many, many times before it exits our community. So given that Maulana Karenga's goal is that we exercise the principles of the Nguzo Saba every day of the year, not just in the 7 days between Christmas and New Year's, I really would encourage all of you to be very conscious of where you're spending your money and to circulate the money within the communities that most need it. So seek out the Black businesses, seek out the local businesses, spend your dollars there. And I would encourage all of us to make a commitment throughout all of 2022 to spend at least $30 a month in a Black business in Albuquerque. So Ujama.
All right, and I want to just show you a picture of Stephanie and her kiddos, Ime and Kufre. They led the first Kwanzaa service here at the Albuquerque Center in 2007. I know, look at those precious babies! And look at them now. I am so grateful for the lives of Ime Kufre and Dr. Stephanie MacIver. But she brings forward the next principle with her encouragement and challenge to all of us through the principle of Nia, which translates as purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Ernest Holmes' third step of affirmative prayer and spiritual mind treatment, we make real the reality of oneness through community building. So this very specific task Dr. Stephanie gave us gives us purpose in this practice of oneness, this actual collective vocation we share in building and developing the community we live in, the community of humanity that we belong to with intention, with the purpose of making oneness real. So it is, we can get all wrapped up in what purpose means. But what if we got really specific and decided in 2022, my purpose is going to be to make oneness real. And I'm going to do that in these very specific ways in my life. Here are the choices I'm going to make. Here are the places I'm going to spend my dollars. Here is the way I'm going to educate myself about this reality that my beloveds are experiencing. And here's what I am going to do to meet my purpose of oneness about it. We go on to principle 6, which is Kumba and creativity. To do always as much as we can, in the way that we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. Sounds like the next part of this, how to do oneness, yes? Ernest Holmes says we should choose that which we wish to embody, and by constant attention to it, take on all its characteristics. Let us choose to be identified with power, with love and beauty, with peace and happiness. Let us identify ourselves with abundance and with success. The objective form to which we give our attention is created from the very attention to which we give it. So when we stay clear about our purpose of making oneness real and doing so through the loving action of building community, we bring to it what we can, what we uniquely can. And we allow ourselves to stay in that place where we determine who and what we are by the truth of who and what we are as divine emanations of this holy blessed one. And when we do so, we bring to life our authentic and unique expression of that divinity with the purpose of making oneness real in our communities. Kumba. We allow the creativity that Spirit is to move through us, making manifest the love and the peace and the harmony and the joy and the happiness that God is. And the final principle of Kwanzaa is Amani, which translates as faith. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. I have victory bolded in my notes. And I want to bold it because sometimes we get stuck in the righteousness of the struggle. And we want to just be all up in the struggle. This one over here, and that one over there, and this historical truth, and that reality is so hard. And we forget that we have already been victorious. We have already been victorious because we are here with breath in our bodies as the beloveds of the one. And when we stay grounded in that victory, the struggle ain't so struggly. Thank you, Jerry. And we have every right to acknowledge the ridiculousness over the history of humanity and all of the BS we have done. But that is not where we want to be spending our efforts and attention, really? Really? We get so caught up in the struggle, we get so caught up in what has gone wrong, that once again we have stopped unifying ourselves with the principle of oneness. We have stopped acknowledging the truth of who we are and determining for ourselves who that is. Now we're just back on that cycle, back on that rat race. Struggle, 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 more struggle. We just create more and more of it for ourselves instead of remembering we've already been victorious. Ernest Holmes says one should have faith in themselves, faith in their fellow human, in the universe, and in God, because there's only one. If God is all there is, and the Holy Blessed One is the only creator of life, then we must have faith in all of it, even the ones we want to kick in the face, even the ones who have been woefully misguided, even the ones who have forgotten who they are. We must have faith in their holy nature. Which probably means I'll have to talk a lot about forgiveness this year, which I will. But when we say faith, Amani, we are not talking about faith in some separate holy thing that is away from us, that has abandoned us to this drudgery we call life, the struggle we call life. It is right here. The faith we are asked to have has to be faith in what is, right here, right now, with all these humans. The ones we came from, the ones we are being, and the ones we have yet to birth. And gosh, if for no other reason, expand your concept of faith for them, so that we may leave something a little better. Ernest Holmes goes on to say our mind must be steady in its conviction that our life is some part of God, and that the Spirit is incarnated in us. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. This is our work. This is our labor. May we each move forward from this moment, taking the wisdom of these 7 principles as a possible framework for how to practice oneness, for how to live the science of mind, for how to begin the work of having faith in the totality of the one, which includes everybody. Know this with me. Claim that holy yes for yourselves by anchoring it and saying out loud, amen, and so it is. And you might want to have tissues for this next song. I'm going to welcome Mr. Tony Quintana back up to the platform.
Thank you again for having me. And yeah, this one's a little bit more mellow, so just kind of nod your head maybe. It's a love song really that I wrote to some of the people that lift me up every day and help me remember the truth of who I am every single day, even when I'm stubborn and I don't want to remember, and teach me about oneness. March 22nd, 2003, that's when the earth became heaven to me. That's the day I started walking hand in hand with the most amazing person in all the land, my dearest Mickey. Thank you for being you. Thank you for showing me your love so true. Before you came along, my self-esteem was in the gutter. Along with all my dreams, I had no hope, I had no path. Then you came in and changed all that. Our relationship is based on solid friendship. I can never get tired of being in your presence. We can sit and talk for hours, just the two of us. I know true love is real. The proof is us, Mickey. The love I have for you is infinite. No way I can imagine my life without you in it. With you by my side, I can do it all. I can achieve anything, and even when I fall, you're there to lift me up and help me get back at it. My hero, you make me feel like Mr. Fantastic. With you by my side, I can do it all. I can achieve anything, and even when I fall, you're there to lift me up and help me get back at it. My hero, you make me feel like Mr. Fantastic. February 13th, 2007, that's when I got an expansion of my heaven. That's the day I started walking hand in hand with the most amazing teen in all the land, Constantine. Thank you for teaching me to love me in a way I didn't know before. You loved me before you came along. I had no drive, but then you came and made me feel so alive. You inspired me and made me want to be so much better. All of a sudden, I became such a go-getter. I got my health in order, started making moves. All I wanted was to be a better dad for you. I love when we laugh together and when we act wild. You helped your mom awaken my inner child. Constantine, the love I have for you is infinite. No way I can imagine my life without you in it. With you by my side, I can do it all. I can achieve anything, and even when I fall, you're there to lift me up and help me get back at it. My hero, you make me feel like Mr. Fantastic. With you by my side, I can do it all. I can achieve anything, and even when I fall, you're there to lift me up and help me get back at it. My hero, you make me feel like Mr. Fantastic. June 30th, 2012, that's when my heaven on earth became deep as a well. That's the day I started walking hand in hand with the most amazing fortune in all the land. Fortune, when I thought my love couldn't expand, you came along and changed all that. You taught me to love more than myself and my fam. You taught me to truly love all the creatures in the land. You made me want to be even better than I had been. I'm reaching new heights, and you are the catalyst. You remind me that life isn't so serious. You make me want to adventure and be curious. I love when you cuddle, I love to see you smile. You help your mom and bub nurture my inner child. Fortune, the love I have for you is infinite. No way I can imagine my life without you in it. With you by my side, I can do it all. I can achieve anything, and even when I fall, you're there to lift me up and help me get back at it. My hero, you make me feel like Mr. Fantastic. With you by my side, I can do it all. I can achieve anything, and even when I fall, you're there to lift me up and help me get back at it. My hero, you make me feel like Mr. Fantastic. With you by my side, I can do it all. I can achieve anything, and even when I fall, you're there to lift me up and help me get back at it. My hero, you make me feel like Mr. Fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Professor! Woo! The first time I listened to that song, I was just a weepy mess. Weepy mess! Oh, may we all have faith in our heroes that happen to be the very same people in our homes. Yes? All right, it is that time to talk money. And I want to just say thank you, because cooperative economics is at play here. We are who fund this. You and I are how this gets to happen. And so if you have not filled out your sustaining giving form for 2022, please do. You do what you can. And if you are online or you prefer to do it digitally, you can go to your newsletter. There is a link there as well, and will be in the next couple of newsletters. But don't call us this week, because the staff and I are taking time off. Just turn it in. Just turn it in. I want to bring beloved Jeff back up to the stage, and he's going to tell you more about how you can get this music from our amazing IQ, the professor.
Yeah, so right over here we have a merch table set up, and Tony has a CD over there if you want to hear it in more detail and all these other beautiful pieces that he's put together. Thank you again, Tony and Mickey. So, and also on social media, you can find him at IQ the Professor on looks like iTunes, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, all the places. So remember, IQ the Professor. Is that correct, Tony? That's the tag. I've spoken before about this kind of arc of history that we've been on in a community. We've been together in community for just about as long as I've been live. I haven't been here for all of that, but about 57 years, and I'm 58. So, and this community, we've been talking all year and creating this language around the pathway. And I really wanted to end the year by just articulating where we are in community on that pathway. For years and years, this community, the first step on a collective spiritual pathway involves inspiration. And we have been inspired throughout those 57 years by people like Reverend Patrick Pollard and now the blessings of Reverend Amani, and there are many others along that pathway that inspired us. And out of that grew this need for the second step on the pathway, which is really feeling that spirit as me. And we've grown dozens, I think, of ministers through this community over the years, and countless practitioners. Right now we have in the high 20s in licensed spiritual practitioners that have taken their knowledge of what it is and what is theirs to do and put it into practice through becoming a practitioner. And then we've developed spirit groups as a way for everyone to get involved and practice together everything that Amani and all of these other amazing ministers have taught us. And over the past 5 years, what has come out of this community is this burning desire to complete that pathway and spirit through me and really learn what it is to be in service. And so as we step into 2022, we are going to be focusing a lot of our resources on how we're going to do that. And I'm already planting these seeds and putting these pieces together so that we can do this together in a really powerful way. George and Carol and a few other people have approached me, and we are behind the scenes putting together a service program for our community, starting with our community, called the Care Crew. And you'll have an opportunity to join with us in mid-January to learn more about that. We started off by seeing what we could do with a holiday care drive, and we distributed packages all throughout the city, and we really learned that we can do this in a way that will be impactful, not just during Christmas, but all throughout the year. And so we will be rolling that out. So my point in all of this is an invitation, as I said a few weeks ago, to slow down. the winter season calls us to slow down. And my invitation to you is to take some time. We're going to be off next week, and take some time in the winter when you're inclined to slow down to take Amani's message and figure out what is yours to do. Reverend Amani encourages us as a staff to really know what she calls our superpower. And so if and when you determine your superpower as it pertains to service, if you want to serve within the community, come see me and talk to me about how you might want to do that within the care crew. We're also partnering with our partnership with Manara. They do a homeless feeding program, and if that appeals to you, I can help you to get involved in being a part of that. And you're going to hear from my shining example of that pathway of personal transformation, someone who's been here a lot longer than I have. You're going to hear from her very soon in the next month or so. Practitioner Jane Midgley, who is on the precipice of becoming a Reverend Jane Midgley. And she's putting together an aspect of our pathway which we're calling social uplift. And so as we head into 2022, as you discern what is yours to do, it doesn't have to be here, it can be anywhere. She is going to be here with her team to support you in figuring that out and figuring out how you need to articulate that service in the larger community and in the world. It's unlimited once you really do that work of discerning what it is that's yours to do. So that's what's coming up in early 2022. My normal pitches here, make sure that you're receiving our newsletter. For the next month or so, we're going to be putting out information that way. And then we're working on a way for you to get all of the information at ABQCSL.org in a much more easy fashion than having to sift through your email and find that email. You'll be able to go to the website at any moment in real time and access all the information you need about everything that we're putting together and what's going on in the new year. So, all right, well, I love you all, and I thank you so much, all of those of you that have helped me to put this part of the pathway together and moving into service, and I can't wait to join with you all next year in doing that. And with no further ado, Mr. Dino.
Mr. Dino, I like that. I want to take a moment to just express gratitude to Reverend Amani and her staff, for the AV people, all those that brought us music this year, the singers, the ushers, the check-in folks, all of you who have joined to make this year just a delightful experience. I was thinking about when I was studying for my practitioner license, and there were some core principles, and the first one was oneness. And I thought, how am I going to remember all of these core principles? There was a lot to study. And so the first core principle being oneness, I thought of it as we are like angels with one wing that must embrace in order to fly. So, of course, I was scared to death of the test, but Amani stood by our side and guided us along the way. We're so very grateful for her. At this moment, we'd like to close our service. If you'd be so kind to join me by closing your eyes if you feel comfortable. These last few days have been marvelous, from Thanksgiving until this very moment when we've had the pleasant opportunity of being together, an opportunity to love. I went to my sister's, and when I got home, I felt a sense of grace and elegance by allowing her to love me. It is in this love that we find oneness and unity. It is by opening our hearts so the divine can attract itself in the world. Let us remember that we have one set of hands, one set of feet, one hope, one heart, one prayer that has already been answered. In this moment, let us give gratitude for our precious lives. And let us remember those that we love. Let us extend ourselves this year to them with a card or a letter or a phone call. Let your neighbor know that you're there. It is with such gratitude that we close this service for the year. And thank you all so very much from the bottom of our hearts for being with us here today. And so it is.